All right. We're back.
Live.
We're live. We're live. What's up, everybody? If you're watching on demand afterwards, make sure you make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing these live streams / videos throughout the off season and then during the regular season as well. But make sure you lock in and let us know where your thoughts are about this Hornets off season, because we don't know what's going to happen. Hoping for the best with it all. But the title, the theme of this video, this live stream is, should the Hornets trade the pick? Just before we get into all of that, how are you feeling about this offseason so far for the Hornets? Just big picture, generally speaking.
I think I said this on the last time we went live. I felt like when Jeff Peterson came, new ownership, it felt like it was a 2-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that on the last one? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I did. And that's where I'm still at. I feel like it's going to be another year of just looking, evaluating. They looked at the last season and evaluate season, as you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's how I want to use this again. And I know Hornets fans do not want to hear that. I know LaMelo fans do not want to hear that. Like you're talking about heading into year 7 for LaMelo before you're like the organization to win, the organization to actually make. Because we're heading into year 6 of LaMelo.
Mm-hmm.
And so if this is just another evaluation year, that's going to be really frustrating, not only for fans, but I mean for LaMelo fans in particular. And I feel like we're still in the middle of that. I don't know if Hornets fans want to believe that, but that's where I'm team currently.
Yeah. I agree with you. And honestly, it's like the appropriate, the mature thing to do is to be patient. Like not for the fan base, but just for the front office.
Damn, man. This fan base is so sick of maturity, though, right? Because we keep being sold and told that we're banking on the maturity of the players on the roster, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about in a personal way, of course. We're talking about maturation on the court, in the locker room, things that actually turn into win, right? And I just feel like we're just tired of that. We're tired of just waiting and development with the players that you already have, and next step and taking the next leap. I think people are just kind of tired of it. Yeah, this new ownership group, new front office, they're not the old ownership group and the old front. And so we do need to be, I guess, patient with them. But I know the fans don't want that. I know that I personally, as much as I do, just like you stated, I know it's a smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's what we should do. But we're just tired of waiting, right?
Right. So with that being said, the Hornets subreddit on Twitter mentioned a quote from HP Basketball, hardwood paroxysm.
Oh yeah, that's the guy from
Matt Moore.
Yeah, Matt Moore. He runs what, Nuggets? Locked On Nuggets or something like that.
So they quoted him saying Charlotte's probably keeping the 4th pick. It makes more sense just to add another good player. However, league sources have stated that they have taken calls for the 4 and not shut them down. So when you see that, when you hear that, what do you think?
I do like that.
And, sorry, so to Melo, who am I echoing or is Balta echoing? Let us know. But go ahead.
But to me, I like that. I think that's the smart thing to do. Is keep all of your options. I'm also unfortunate a Panthers fan. And I just watched where the Dan Morgan, Brant Tillett episodes were released behind the scenes, and keeping all of your options open. I think that's the smart thing to do. Whether you select with the pick that you have, or you're open to moving up, you're open to moving back, trading for a player. I think that's what you have to do. So that report that the front office isn't just keen at staying, or I think that's right.
I agree. They should consider all options. I think moving back is not ideal. But when I was looking at past times where the fourth pick or the team with the fourth pick has traded down or back, there's not a lot to really choose from historically. But I want to play a game of like who says no, okay? With history in mind. So I have two examples, one more recent, one really old. All right. DeAndre Hunter in 2019, and then Stephon Marbury and Ray Allen in 96. So the 96 one played out like this. You had Milwaukee, and then Minnesota, 4 and 5. Minnesota traded Ray Allen for Marbury with the fourth pick. So they swapped, and then Minnesota gave up a 1. So they traded Ray Allen and a future 1, which is crazy, in knowing that how Ray Allen's career turned out.
Sure.
That future 1 didn't turn out to be anything crazy, but it was a first round pick 2 years into the future for Marbury. All right, so that's to go up 1 spot with the future first pick. All right, that's like one historical example. Another one is a bit murkier or weirder because it involves the Lakers and that initial Anthony Davis trade to the Pelicans, where that fourth pick was put into that deal. The Lakers made the pick. Everyone knew that pick was going to go to New Orleans, and New Orleans ended up flipping it again. And what they got was the 8th pick, the 17th pick, and the 35th pick. The Pelicans traded some other stuff along with the 4th pick, but largely it's pretty much the 4th for two first round picks and then a top second round pick. Mm-hmm. So then I go, all right, let's just go with that kind of template, right? This kind of idea. Let me back up. Let's start with the 96 example because that's a shorter list. It's Charlotte and Utah. Is there a scenario where you could see Utah saying we want to go up 1 to get the guy we want, and Charlotte being like, all right, we'll take a future 1. We'll take one of your young guys. Like, what would make you happy as a Hornets fan as a haul to go back 1 spot using like that 96 example?
Well, I think that there are a few players that I like in that range. So I'm fine moving.
Yeah.
I'm fine moving back 1. Give me a future first. I done. I think it's that.
What's the back end of it? Like, how far back in the first round would you be willing to go? As far as like prospects where you feel like there's a drop off, you can get value anywhere in the lottery, right? But like, where's that mark for you where it's like a bit of a, I don't want to go back that far?
I really don't want to go into the late lottery.
Okay.
I think that's kind of cut off. So I saw some Cam Johnson from the net. I think that they have the 18th pick.
We'll get into them. They got a lot to choose from.
Okay. All right. Don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, they have a lot. So we can get into that. But I feel like 7 is I wouldn't feel super comfortable going past 7 because I think you have all of the top tier wings to choose from, plus Malawak to like you're in the mix for Trey Johnson, Edgecombe, Bailey, Knipple, and Malawak. So like I feel good with any one of those 5 guys. So using and I don't know what Utah's motivation would be. I feel like they want to collect as many young guys as possible. They have 2 first round picks. They pick at 5 and they pick at 21. So maybe that's enough, 5 and 21 to jump up to 4. I would take it as a Hornets fan for sure. Like I call it into the league right now. But for them, they feel like they're in collection mode and not necessarily like, we're trying to do something this year anyway, this upcoming season. So the candidates, though, for the DeAndre Hunter-esque New Orleans to Atlanta trade, you have Utah, like I mentioned, who have the 5th and 21st pick. You would do that, correct?
Which pick?
So the 4th pick for 5 and 21.
Yes.
Okay. So next up, the next candidate is picking at 6, the Wizards. So the Wizards pick 6th, and they pick at 18, and then they have the 40th overall pick, so like a top 10 pick in the second round. Would you go back to 6 for the 18th pick, and then maybe their second one? I don't know. Maybe that's too greedy, but let's forget the second round. Is the 6th pick and the 18th pick for number 4? What are you saying?
I still think probably yes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm there too. I don't love it, but I'm there. I'm there too.
It's strange. You go back 1 and then you drop 3 from 18 to 21. Yeah, I'd still probably do it. The second round pick really doesn't do anything for me because I don't want just to fill the back end of the roster with a ton of rookies.
Right.
And I don't think that we would pick at 40 or wherever. We already have 2 second round.
Yeah, Charlotte's already picking 33 and 34. I think the hope would be to flip that for something else later on, or just kind of punt it into a future deal. So Washington is like I think it's a soft yes. Utah is a definite one. The Brooklyn gets interesting because they have 4 first round draft picks. They pick 8, 19, 26, and 27. How many of those first round picks does it take for you to be like a firm yes from Brooklyn?
To move from 8 to 4?
Yeah, so go from 4th to 8 plus 19, 26, and 27. Those are the first round picks as an option.
I think you got.
You say all of them?
The 3.
3 of them? Okay, so 18, 19, and 26, let's say, or 18, 19, 27. Let them keep the 26th pick.
Yeah. I think you got 3 of those because at that point you're really gambling on any of your guys being available. Now, of course, we don't know who Jeff Peterson and co have on their board and which guys that they are in love with. But I think that I can get, if I were the GM of the Hornets, I can get one of my dudes still at 7, maybe possibly 8, but you're up in the air.
Yeah, it gets dicey for sure. It's beyond that 7 mark for me, where it's a bit of a gray area where the Hornets need to get something of value in this draft. I know, shock, but they cannot miss. They can't afford to mess this up, because then you're talking nothing from 21, the 22 draft. They're ready to give up on Mark Williams. Last year's draft, who knows about Tajon Salon, and this 25 draft has to be nailed. And so the safest thing to do, I think, is stay at 4. But for the purpose of this conversation, I think 8 is a bit tough. But I'm gonna need at least 2 extra picks for me to feel comfortable.
So are you with 3 as well, right there?
Yeah, so 3 in total. The 8th pick plus 2, the other 2 first round picks, and then maybe like you're looking to deal those elsewhere, because then you're talking. Then that's 5 rookies potentially you're coming in. That's a lot. I know the Hornets are also in asset collection mode, but that's a lot at once. And at a certain point, it becomes like these guys. It becomes detrimental when you're trying to bring too many young guys in at once, like for the greater project.
Yeah, I think you acquire those picks to hopefully deal them elsewhere.
Right. Right.
Like you have somebody who falls in love with a prospect who's going to be in the early 20s, and then you flip that for a future first. Like you can't bring in 5 dudes, but then you have to have a buy, right? That's the risky thing about moving out of 4 back to 8 and then acquiring additional picks in this draft. You may not love those guys in the 20s. You may like Jeff Peterson might not like those guys. And he might not want any more of those. So at that point, are you selling low on a first? I don't think you are. If you have a pick in the 20s and you trade it for a future first, it really doesn't matter because at worst, it'll be a pick in the 20s. So I think it's fine. But yeah, you're not selecting 5 rookies and bringing them into the fold.
So I think if it's a Utah, a Washington, a Brooklyn, I don't view any of them as a strong candidate to want to move up, to give up assets when they're trying to collect assets. Whereas this next group these are playoff teams or playoff caliber teams, and they may be looking to add just another young piece. So you're talking Atlanta, OKC, and Orlando. So Atlanta have 13th and 22. OKC has 15 and 24. Orlando has 16 and 25. Now, for any one of those teams, I'm going to need both those picks for sure, right? But I'm also going to need a player or two as well, preferably on a rookie deal with multiple years remaining on the rookie deal, ideally. But for like an OKC where they're going to be in a awkward position when they get into the apron and all that stuff, like Orlando, like Atlanta, these teams are, I look at them if like an Ace Bailey is sitting there. I think that's the best way for any of this to play out. I have a hard time envisioning them really going for, or maybe an Edgecombe if he's there for, I don't know. But what's your take on those like higher, more mature, higher aspiration basketball teams moving up ahead of like your bottom feeders, Utah, Washington, Brooklyn, etc.?
I was shaking my head while you were repeating everything of any of that, because at that point you're past the threshold of getting one of your guys at the top end of this draft, and then just banking on what, maybe an additional first, maybe another rookie, if somebody else is willing to give up on that rookie, essentially.
Yeah.
Why would we want to just jump into that? I don't.
So, I'm with you. We're 20 days from the draft, and I don't really see it happening. If you had to give it a percentage likelihood of the Hornets trading the pick, trading back, or just flat out trading it for a player, what would you put that percentage at?
Trading back, I think you're looking at 15%.
Yeah, it's low. I think it's low.
Like I think that might be high. Yeah, I think the Hornets are selecting it for. And if you had to pin me down today, I think they could. It's just I have a feeling. I don't know what it is. I think it's because they tried to trade for Dalton Connect and get the better version of Dalton Connect. The Hornets obviously like Connect.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pin me down today, I have the Hornets like Connect. And I know a lot of people won't like that, but that's where I'm at.
With Edgecombe there, or in like if they're facing Bailey goes 3, Edgecombe sitting there, Knipple sitting there, Hornets go Knipple.
That's what I'm feeling.
I wouldn't be surprised by it at all.
That's where I'm at now. Personally, I think Edgecombe slides in too perfectly.
Yeah,
but I think that from what we've seen this front office do in the past, I have reason to believe that Knipple is very high. If I had to.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. My preference is Edgecombe. Um, his off ball ability is super valuable, I think, to what the Hornets have going on now and into the future. And then, compared to or paired with LaMelo and Brandon Miller, LaMelo's going to have the ball a lot, and Brandon Miller's working on handling the ball a lot. And having a guy who can play off ball makes a lot of sense. Knipple can play off ball as a real shooter. So, like, you have to really play up the pros and cons, and it's hard to ignore the Duke connection with this ownership. I'm pretty sure they know Knipple really well, and it's hard to ignore that possibility as we get closer to it. But
had to have a change of scenery real quick.
Oh, no worries. But that's it. That's all I really wanted to get into, because I've been seeing a little bit of it. Like Kevin O'Connor mentioned something about like the Hornets having a pathway to like kind of rising up into the East by trading the 4th pick for a guy or packaging young players for another guy. I don't see that. The young player thing doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think the Hornets have enough young talent to piece together a deal like that. And the 4th overall pick, I don't know who would be trading like a all-star that would be interested in coming here, and a team that's really super interested in that 4th overall pick. Like, it doesn't have that draw that it should. I don't know, but that's why I just wanted to kind of talk it through as a thought exercise. Yeah.
Let me throw this at you. I think there's a higher chance that the Charlotte Hornets trade up to 2 than trade back.
All right.
I think we stay at 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 75% positive that they do that. And I think that there's a slightly larger chance that the Hornets would trade up. The problem with that, with the Spurs, because I don't believe the Spurs are going to stay at 2. I just don't. I feel like one of these teams, Milwaukee, with Giannis. Like if the Hornets were to strike some kind of deal with the Spurs, it would obviously take 4. It would take a future pick, a future first, and probably something else as well.
Mark Williams?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
If I can get Dylan Harper, I mean, after you already tried to trade the guy. Yeah. Come on. The problem is, I think another team would outbid us, because I think the Spurs are taking all of the calls on 2, because at this point they have Diarra, they have numerous wings and guards.
Yeah, Castle. Yeah, their backcourt is
set.
Yeah.
They just had the rookie of the year, right? That all Hornets fans were just praying to whatever universal God that they pray to would fall to us. Of course he didn't. So, something to watch.
I'm here for it. I'm the draft day aggression. I'm here for. I'm so here for it.
Well, I mean, there are so many reports coming out from various sources stating that this summer is going to be highly active. Numerous teams are looking to move off of their superstars. Yeah. We know the Giannis Milwaukee bit. We know Kevin Durant's probably heading out. So, I mean, there's going to be some massive movement. And maybe the Charlotte Hornets can be benefactors of this in some way, shape, or form. We know that we saw Jeff Peterson get on the tail end of numerous deals. You know, the cat. And, you know, if you can throw in any additional pick, any freebies. And so that's something to look at. Now, something as big as moving from 4 to 2, that's going to take some of our assets. Something I'd be willing to do. I don't know if the front office is. But I'd rather stay at 4, just move back and draft which guy you believe most.
Listen, I wouldn't be mad at it, but then you're really begging for the what do you do with LaMelo, right? At that point, then that's like that's the whole different thing.
I think that's on LaMelo at this point, though. I don't believe that the franchise really. I mean, I don't want to say that the franchise doesn't owe LaMelo anything, because you have a large portion of the fan base say, "Well, we've never fielded a quality roster around him." I get that to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, he's got to stay, got to be available. And so, if you, like this is almost a make or break season for LaMelo. If he misses half of the season or more, I mean, where are you going to be going?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a hard sell, knowing how much of the cap he's going to be eating up, and also I wanted to say that this offseason, because they've in the 5 years now of LaMelo going into year 6, right? They've never addressed the backup point guard spot with him, fully. Micic is probably the best thing they rolled out there, and that was ass. So like, they gotta, if you're gonna be in on the LaMelo package, you have to have a plan B ready to go. And until that is properly addressed, I'll never be convinced they're trying to win right now. Yeah. Like if they go out and get somebody who can't play anywhere else, like we've seen, like Isaiah Thomas, Ish Smith, like these guys weren't. These guys weren't like these guys weren't playing. No other team would have put them on the floor. Frank Ntilikina, like that was like the big plan.
And then we had to wait for him to become healed.
I think that is going to be the tell. No, as long as LaMelo's on the roster, what they do with that backup point guard spot will tell me how serious they are about being a competitive team. So just something to monitor, because it's definitely a thing now, and he's earned the injury prone rep, and it sucks because he's fucking awesome, and I want to see him play and do well. But it's just unfortunate that the best player on the team has issues finishing seasons, and they got to address it. And
I don't know heard, but there is a point guard with tons of NBA and playoff who played 82 last season, who went to college in the state of North Carolina. One Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I would not.
I wanted that I wanted that so badly. Still, I would love it. He would hate it probably. I love Chris Paul, but like he would not like. He'd be about it.
I mean, he did just spend all of last season in San Antonio. I know he was playing with Wemby, and they did have playoff hopes there before Wemby's season-ending injury occurred. So maybe he's more open to just play rather than competing for what we're seeing the first time in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So
they got options. They have some cap. They don't have cap space, but they have cap flexibility.
Exception.
So, yeah, they got things that they have tricks that they can leverage if they wanted to. But we'll see.
We've seen past summers where the Hornets have the MM League and we just don't use it, right? We just hold on to it. And you're like, we can add like legit roster piece, a rotation guy. You're talking $13-14 million. And then I believe we're due for the biannual exception this upcoming season as well, which is like $5 million. Now that's a little bit more difficult to add a rotational piece, but with that mid-level exception, for sure.
So, draft night will set the tone, and then free agency shortly after, and then I hope for the best after that, really. But any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Jaka, I think that's how you the guard from Illinois,
yeah.
Jaka. There were reports coming out I believe it was from Yahoo.
Oh yeah.
That the Hornets. It's very similar to the reports that came out last draft, where then we selected Tijon Salon, and it just kind of happened. And the reports are that the Hornets are kind of moving in that same realm they did last draft. I wouldn't. That's not where I want to go. Watch Yakachonis have a great NBA career. I would not be happy. That is one of those scenarios where I feel like the Hornets, they can choose whomever in a relative 4 to 8 range, and I'll feel pretty good. He's not one of them.
Yeah, I agree. To be fair, I watched one of his games and he turned the ball over so many times. Like I'm good on this. Like if you can't handle the rock in college, what was going on?
He gives LaMelo vibes to a degree, not with the shooting, but just where he tries to pass the basketball. He tries high difficult passes. He really believes in his vision, but he's not as fast, and he's not as good. And like I don't know if we need more LaMelo on this team. Let me take that back. We do need more LaMelo on this team.
Yeah, a second one.
Like
2 or 3.
Like we need I don't know, 75 games of LaMelo. That's how much of LaMelo we need. But I don't know if we need a comparable player to place that same style as LaMelo. We need some complementary pieces around him, like a VJ Inchcombe, like a Continental.
Yeah.
And I'm still not out on Ace Bailey. I know a lot of people are talking about how they don't see the fit Charlotte, and it could be problematic. I'd be fine.
All right. I think well said. I think we'll call it there. Thank you for everybody for coming through and watching. If you're watching it not live, leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. And we'll be back this time next week. Talking more draft stuff. Maybe there'll be some more concrete news about the Charlotte Hornets direction. Who knows? We'll see. But until then, stay safe and we'll talk to you soon.
Adios.